I wanted to wrap up this course by thinking about what we've done so far, but also thinking about where to go next, because this last module of the course is really about how we've taken all the fundamentals that we've learned over the first 5 modules and how they can be applied and extended to really help us delve into some of these exciting new research directions and areas of creative practice in the field of music technology. I want to talk about where you can go now that this course is over, if you want to continue exploring these areas and starting to contribute to them yourself. So we'll talk about various tools that you might want to use, various places to look for scholarship, various types of communities you might look to join to find like-minded people, and places where you might continue your academic study beyond this course that you've taken. Let's start with tools. Obviously, I encourage you to continue using Reaper, Python, and EarSketch to make music, and there's a lot more to them than what we've been able to explore just in this course. Python and EarSketch are, of course, free to use. Reaper, I just want to remind you, is commercial software. It came with a 60-day, fully, kind of unlimited functionality trial version that we've been using in this course. But if you use it beyond 60 days, I do encourage you to pay for it. It's great software, and it's priced extremely economically compared to other DAWs. Obviously, there's a lot of DAWs out there. There's probably hundreds of them out there. So if there's another one that you prefer more as having be kind of your home base for making music, I encourage you to switch to that now that the course is over. And whatever DAW you use, you want to look to extend it by adding new plugins to your arsenal that explore add new functionalities in terms of how you can process sound, how you can synthesize sound, and so on and so forth. And if you just Google VST plugins or audio unit plugins, you'll find hundreds of websites that review them and list them. And you can find plugins, lots that are free, going up to plugins that cost thousands of dollars. You at some point might want to look at expanding the hardware that you're using beyond just your laptop. Different kinds of interfaces to enable you to interact with different MIDI devices, so MIDI interfaces, but also different kinds of audio interfaces to get higher quality audio in and out of your machine and your built-in laptop mic and your built-in headphone jack is able to give you. Might look at different types of controllers, most likely some kind of MIDI keyboard, but if there's a different kind of instrument that is your area of expertise, you might look at getting a MIDI controller that's designed to parallel the functionality of that instrument, or of course a more unusual and novel kind of controller as well. And looking at sound modules, whether these are virtual things that exist inside of your DAW or something else, something that will help you to make and respond to MIDI messages to make sound. I also encourage you to look at programming environments beyond EarSketch. Even if you continue to use EarSketch and Python, it's always good to learn how other environments work, to gain a greater perspective on programming and algorithmic composition and synthesis and signal processing. If you're interested in particular in a lot of the stuff we've been covering in Module 6, with these different kind of research areas of music technology, I encourage you to check out some of the conferences that cover these areas. Most of them have their proceedings available on their websites for free, and so you can go to the conference websites and you look at papers that have been published in past years to get a sense of what the state of the art in the field is, or to delve into a particular area in more detail. ICMC, the International Computer Music Conference, is the umbrella conference that kind of sits above all of them. It's the most general in its focus. NIME is focused entirely on novel musical interfaces. It stands for New Interfaces for Musical Expression. DAFX is focused on audio effects, signal processing synthesis. It stands for Digital Audio Effects. ISMIR is focused on music information retrieval, International Society for Music Information Retrieval. ICAD is focused on data sonification. ICMPC is focused on music perception and cognition. SMC, Sound and Music Computing, is another somewhat more general conference. EMS, Electroacoustic Musical Studies Network, is a conference that's really focused on the history of electronic music and on the analysis of electronic music. There's many more conferences besides these, but these are some of the most popular. There's a number of journals in the field. You might not be able to get access to these unless you're at an institution that has a subscription, or you buy or subscribe to individual journals or articles. But these are kind of the journals of record in the field. Computer Music Journal, Organized Sound, Leonardo Music Journal, Journal of New Music Research are some of the most important ones. And these all cover all of these areas of inquiry that we've looked at across Module 6. There's also a number of books that provide overviews of the field and delve into some areas and more specifics that we supplied in some of the course resource information and the lecture notes. I think it's essential if you're continuing to practice music technology that you engage with other people that are like-minded to you. And I hope you've had the opportunity to do that in this course through our discussion forums. But now that the course is over, I'd encourage you to seek out other communities where you might do this. There's a number of professional societies for music technology and computer music. Many of the organizations that run those conferences that I listed on the last slide have their own professional organizations. And so that's a good place to start. There's also mailing lists and online forums that are usually centered around particular languages or tools. So for instance, there's a very active forum for Reaper that's on the Reaper website. There are mailing lists for languages like Maximus P and PD and SuperCollider. So these are the programming languages that we've developed. So finding people that are using similar tools to you and having conversations and troubleshooting problems can also be very valuable. And there's also mailing lists that are centered around particular subfields of music technology, like data sonification or music perception or digital signal processing and things like that. There are many remix communities online, like CC Mixter, that encourage you to share your music with other people, to discuss it with them, and to borrow from each other and to kind of remix each other's music. That can also be a very powerful way to creatively engage with other people. We have a kind of fledgling social media site that's associated with EarSketch that you can check out as well. That lets you upload your Python code and the MP3 renderings of your resulting music that you create with the Python code to a site where you can share it with other people. They can see your code and hear your music, and you can comment on things and borrow code from other people and kind of remix that way. So that's another option for you if you're continuing to use those tools. Finally, if you're really serious about continuing your studies of music technology, some more academic study is really in order. There's a number of online courses, including a number on Coursera, that cover different areas or bring different perspectives to music technology than what this course has provided. There's also many degree programs at the undergraduate and graduate levels, and I particularly wanted to mention that here at Georgia Tech we have a Master's of Science and PhD program in music technology that's particularly focused on doing research in these areas like what we've explored in Module 6, these kinds of kind of cutting-edge areas in the field. So I'd encourage you to check that out as well as other programs out there. So I just wanted to offer some final thoughts as we're closing here the course. The fundamental point here was to learn about the kind of theory and fundamentals of music technology, to learn about some basic kind of music-making paradigms with technology through the DAW, and then to start programming so that we could get a better understanding of how we might approach things differently, from designing our own effects and synthesizers to understand how those work better kind of under the hood, to approaching algorithmic composition and all the things that they can kind of grow out of that. To discover different approaches to creating a music and experiencing music and performing music. What I hope this course has helped you to do is to become a better musician and to become a better music technologist, to expand your horizons both technically and creatively and develop your skills in both domains. I want to thank you for sticking with the course through to the end, and I hope it's been a meaningful experience for you. I really appreciate your participation.